Back when Bridgerton Season 4 was coming out, I passed the time between seasons by watching the Queen Charlotte spin-off for the first time. This was a prequel series that follows a young Queen Charlotte and her marriage to King George III. And I thought it was very good, but it wasn't really what I was expecting. See, Bridgerton is pretty firmly a historical romance series. While there may be obstacles and peril, you can expect there will be a happily ever after in the end because that's a genre convention of romance. But Queen Charlotte, despite being a spin-off of Bridgerton, is not really a romance. Instead, it's a tragic historical drama that happens to feature a love story. Be aware that I am going to be talking spoilers from this point on. In retrospect, it's easy to kick myself for expecting something other than a tragedy because I'm aware of the history here. George III was extremely mentally and physically unwell for many years of his life. It's hard to know exactly what he would have been diagnosed with today. Some historians think his mental symptoms may have been caused by anxiety and bipolar disorder. We had a couple of brief appearances from George in the Bridgerton show before the Queen Charlotte spin-off, and it was clear the show wasn't going to shy away from his illness. The show portrays George as suffering from symptoms similar to schizophrenia and dementia, to the point where he often forgets who Charlotte is and occasionally becomes agitated and violent. So we already know Charlotte and George don't get your typical happily ever after. But I didn't realize just how much the Queen Charlotte show would portray young George struggling with his illness, and how young Charlotte goes to great lengths for him even though she knows she will never have a normal life with him. Luckily, I still thought it was very well done, but it was jarring to start watching something that I thought was going to be lighthearted and instead get something very serious. And I blame the marketing. The official trailer for Queen Charlotte highlights the romantic moments of the show, making it look much more like a typical romance than it actually is. It portrays their early relationship as a fairy tale and completely ignores that George leaves Charlotte alone for long periods of time without telling her why, including immediately after their wedding, because he's undergoing horrific treatments to try and overcome his illness. A scene from the show that was heavily featured in the marketing was the scene where Charlotte tries climbing over a garden wall to escape her wedding, only to find out that the handsome stranger inquiring about her endeavor is her husband-to-be. This scene wouldn't be out of place in a regular romance, but it's not indicative of the show as a whole because, again, this is not a genre romance. There aren't even any other happily ever after romances in the show to offset the tragedy of Charlotte and George. I understand that it makes sense to market a Bridgerton spin-off to the same romance-loving audience as the original show, but I think it does the story a bit of a disservice. Anyone who goes into Queen Charlotte expecting an uncomplicated good time will get quite a shock, while anyone who likes serious historical dramas might skip it because they think it's a fun romance. So have you watched Queen Charlotte, or do you want to? Let me know in the comments. And if you liked this video and want to keep up with all my latest projects and nerdy content, be sure to subscribe to my free monthly newsletter, which you can find in my profile.